What up, everybody? Welcome back to another episode of Real Estate Served on the Rocks. I am here with
Jameson Amros, as usual.
Oscar Ibarra.
And we have a...
Wait, who are you?
I am Charlie Sardelli.
There it is.
You're right. You're right. Sorry. I'm just so ready to get into the topic. And in all honesty, like I was going to say, is because this might be a little bit of a controversial one.
Who are you and how did you get on this couch?
You know, I just belong on the...
This isn't where I parked that car.
Is that the casting couch?
Yeah.
Is that what this is?
No. That's a little bit different, you know. If you want
Wrong podcast.
The guy on the couch. That's
Wrong.
more.
Wrong
Say,
podcast.
if that's something that you're in, just let me know in the comments. I'll start the OnlyFans, and I won't have to be a realtor anymore.
$3 a month. You just get 15,000 subscribers. You're retired.
Good to go. Good to go. But yeah, today, guys, the topic that we want to talk about is real estate myths. We want to go ahead and debunk some of what we think are the biggest myths around real estate, all while enjoying, honestly, a very interesting bourbon. I don't know if you guys can see it in the bottle there, but there's this little oak twirl in the bottle, and we'll get into that. But it's supposed to add a little bit more to the bourbon, and we'll let you know if that's what it does.
Mm-hmm. It'll further, I don't want to say age, but give the flavoring.
Yeah.
Flavor profile.
Mm-hmm. Absolutely.
While it
Absolutely.
sits.
Or it's a bottle of bourbon and somebody just stuck a piece of wood in and
Is that like the equivalent of the
charge more for it? We're going to find out.
of the worm on tequila? You know, they put the worm.
Yeah.
That's the equivalent.
Yeah.
I mean,
maybe. I don't know. I would like to see somebody finish the bottle and then just try and bite the shit out of that oak stick.
Like a real man.
depending on how today's show goes,
like
maybe.
like a real man.
Real man, just chewing on the oak stick. I like it.
It's like this is a man-sized toothpick.
Well, before we get into today's episode, guys, remember we do an episode every week. Our audio drops usually every Friday, and the video usually drops anywhere between Monday and Wednesday. And like I said last week, we are going to be kind of rebranding here soon, going with the Mile High Perspective as a new channel. So stay tuned and make sure that when we drop that channel, you guys hop on and subscribe, because it's not only going to be the podcast. It's going to be community spotlight videos, shorts, the podcast, and little short videos on topics, basically taking this large form that we have with the podcast, kind of shorten it down. So if you don't want to watch us talk and drink for an hour, you still have somewhere to go.
Yeah, let us know what you want to hear. Obviously, this show is for the consumer.
Exactly.
We all have friends and family that are in the industry. They already know. They know what they're talking about. This is for you, the consumer, so we could narrow down what you want to hear, what you want to listen to, or maybe just want to listen to us talk crap about it.
If you want to hear more about bourbon, let us know. If you want to hear more about real estate, let us know. But it all comes down to you guys commenting and let us know, whether that's on Facebook, Instagram, TikTok, YouTube. Put it in the comments. Let us know, because
How can we do better for you?
Exactly. That's why we're here. Other than having fun with friends and drinking some bourbon, we're doing this because we feel like the public needs more information to be armed and ready for real estate.
Yep.
And with that being said, it's our topic today with the 5 real estate myths is going to be real fun. So let's go ahead and dive into this bourbon a little bit.
Let's do it.
And I'll go ahead and pour it out while Jameson gives you guys a little bit of information on the background.
Yeah, so today we are tasting Oak and Eden, and it's unique in the sense that there's a lot of bourbons that are what we would consider double oaked, which means the bourbons are fully aged in an oak barrel, and then once they're fully aged, transferred to a different oak barrel to get essentially interact with the wood longer and give it different flavor profiles depending on the type of the oak, the age of the oak, the species of the oak, if it's charred, if it's a wine barrel, if it was a
new
pork barrel,
barrel.
new barrel, old barrel, all sorts of different things, right? Oak and Eden is a little bit unique because what they do is they age it in the initial barrel, and then instead of aging it in a secondary barrel, they pull out this essentially like an oak spore, right? So I don't know if you guys can see it. We'll try and zoom in, but essentially there is an oak spiral that sits in every single bottle. And this oak spiral matches the barrel type, age, species of tree that the original whiskey was aged in. So in this case, we are tasting toasted oak, which toasted whiskey
is great.
I love toasted whiskey. We had Elijah Craig
toasted
barrel that was fantastic. Basil Hayden makes a decent one that's pretty cheap.
Well, and remember the whole point of doing the toasted barrel is by toasting the barrel, it's supposed to caramelize the sugar in the wood.
Correct.
So it's supposed to add a little bit more sweetness to the bourbon.
Yes, a little bit of a dare I say, creamy mouthfeel.
Oh shit, it's back.
It's back.
It's back, baby. You
Which
thought
is
we were
good.
gone.
This
I came back.
I've never had this one, so this is a new one for me, and I've seen that process done on bourbon barrels that they want to add some more flavor profiles. They'll take it out and put it in their own decanter and then throw one of those in there.
Yeah,
so this is cool. This is I've never had this.
Yeah, so this one, it's 90 proof, so 45% ABV. It should have, again, this kind of toasted caramel, vanilla, smoky flavor. I'm looking forward to seeing if there's, as that private barrel that we had, the Elijah Craig, how many different layers it had as far as the flavor profiles. I'm interested to see what this is like, right? A couple things on these. They have one, and I'm going to pull it up because I don't want to shortchange them, but they've won a bunch of awards for Oak and Eden, specifically the Toasted Barrel. So I'll go through a couple of them because I do want to give them their kudos. In 2022, they were platinum and gold medal in bourbon and vine for the San Francisco Spirit competition. They won in the SIP Awards platinum and double gold for their Wheat Inspire, 4-Grain Inspire, and Bourbon and Brew, which is bourbon aged in essentially beer barrels. So it's kind of reverse the process a little bit. 2021, same thing, bunch of platinum, double golds, Bourbon Inspire, which is what we're going to have today. And they also won Cigar and Spirits competition in 2021 for the Bourbon Inspire as well. So they are definitely, they've got the accolades.
Yeah.
So
sure.
And the price of it, it's $49. Nothing crazy. Kind of mid-range, right within that. Elijah Craig, Four Roses, Smoke Wagon Uncut, the younger price point. And, I think we're starting to get into, I think we've tasted enough whiskeys now that we're starting to see that there are very different flavor profiles.
100%.
And a lot of people knock whiskey. I've talked to some people that are Scotch drinkers, and they drink Scotch because they feel that the Scotch bottles have a larger variety and just the flavors and profiles, and whiskey is kind of like the beginner Scotch. I'm of the opposite opinion.
Yeah.
I think Scotch tastes like if I stuck dirt in my mouth and swallowed water at the same time.
Sucking on some moss.
Yeah, it's weird, right? But these bourbons, as we taste them, you start to see that there's subtle differences, whether it's the aftertaste, whether it's the burn, whether it's the flavor profile, so on and so forth. So this one's going to be interesting because these spires will age for anywhere from 6 months to a year, depending on how long they sit in the shelf.
What's the proofing on this one?
90.
Okay.
And
I think the $50 range is a great price point for a really good bourbon.
It is.
Yeah,
Agreed.
yeah, and especially the bourbon that for the everyday drinker, right? Not the person who's gonna go off and say, "Oh, I got this bottle from Sir Hamlin over." It's
Sir Hamlin?
yes.
Do you know the Muffin Man?
Do you know the Muffin Man?
Did you go to school with that guy?
Who lives on Drury Lane?
And we're talking about real estate myths. We'll tie one into bourbon.
Yeah.
That the first pour or the neck pour is the harshest one.
Yeah.
Yeah.
You got the neck pour, so you let us know how that goes.
I have the neck pour.
Is it a thing? Every time that
I don't know why neck pour makes
every time I pour
sensual.
a new bottle out, I forget to. I don't know.
So what if I do? I shake the bottom before to kind of mix.
I don't know. Myth, right?
I got a buddy. Shout out, Mr. Barkel. He was one of the first people in my adult life that kind of showed me etiquette around drinking bourbon, and it's funny because for that reason, he always says shoot the neck. So when he first cracks open a bottle, he doesn't do a sip; he shoots it, specifically because he wants to get rid of
Neck
the neck pour of the bottle.
So it's a thing.
Mm-hmm. All right, let's go ahead and choose it up. Get a sip in. Cheers.
Cheers.
While these guys are tasting this,
My
you guys
blankie
wanna-
fell. Hold on.
Oh, not the blanket.
Oh man.
You might want to put that on. It's cold in here.
It is. Let me tell you. I'm sitting here freezing my butt off. So I might. It was negative. I don't know what this morning. And
Yeah,
it's
if you're
cold in
listening
here.
and you're in Colorado,
It was cold as hell. So I'm not all dressed up. I may stutter a little bit, and it's just cold in here.
the nation's divided like down the center. Like there's record highs happening on the East Coast.
Yep.
In the meantime, we're in the Antarctic.
Negative. I woke up. It was negative.
Yeah, it's just
Yeah, it was cold.
But it warms you up.
Bourbon.
So while we're tasting this real quick, guys, if you're watching or listening, if you guys want to reach out to us directly, resotr@themilehighperspective.com is our email address. Obviously, you guys can comment on the videos like Charlie said. You can search us on social media as well. The Mile High Perspective on TikTok. We'll have clips of the things that we talk about on there. You can reach out to us that way as well. Email's linked. And then as far as the phone number, 303-587-0263, and that will get to any one of us. So if you guys want to reach out, have questions, topic suggestions, just want to chat about the market, bourbon, whatever you guys want, let us know.
Yes.
That's the easy way. And at the end of the show, we'll go ahead and give you guys how you can find us on social media, because we'll have our kind of unique things that we do there. So
Yep.
That being said,
I will say immediately, just the nose on this bourbon, call me crazy, but I can smell the wood more so than I have in the other bourbons that we drink.
yeah.
It's like,
Which I guess it makes sense, right? Because the wood's physically in there. So as it's not degrading over time, but it is giving a different flavor.
And it's honestly, I can smell the sweet of the smoke of that toast, and it's
the color is nice too.
oh yeah, beautiful.
All right, I'm not gonna lie. I'm having issues smelling anything. I'm cold as crap. Oh, I need tissue. I'm cold.
Who knows? It'll open you up. You want sniff a
maybe
little,
this will warm me up, and then I'll be like, oh yeah, I smell it now. I'm not gonna lie.
But yeah, I am definitely with the flavors as far as the smell. Even just that the sweetness of the oak is definitely coming through, but then also that vanilla is very pungent on the nose for me.
I just tasted mine, but I want to get you guys' thoughts because
I got.
So I've had Oak and Eden before, but not the toasted barrel.
It's almost I just want to smell it. It almost smells like a toasted marshmallow. Like legitimately, that's what I'm. That yeah.
Wow. More.
Wow.
I'm getting a lot of leather, and again, it might be my palate today.
No, I see where you're getting that from for sure.
And what's another bourbon term when you chew it, or the Chattanooga chew, or the Charleston chew, or what is it? You're supposed to chew it, right? You let the bourbon hit the back of your mouth, and you kind of chew it so it could get a little air in there. And
this is the first time I'm feeling it on the front of my tongue and not the back of my tongue.
Yep.
That absolutely, and especially coming from that high rye mash last week, I can definitely tell the difference in the smoothness.
Oh yeah.
Of the grain.
Yeah, it kind of just melts.
Mm-hmm.
Yeah.
But I like it because the aftertaste is there, and it's kind of that
lingers.
It's oak aftertaste.
Yeah.
But it does linger. Like it doesn't disappear.
I can't get over the smell.
I can't smell crap.
Sorry.
Thanks, man.
I'm sorry, but 100%. This is. I'm not gonna lie to you. The second I saw the oak ring or the oak stick in there, I was like, "Oh, what a ploy! Good for you."
Yeah.
So far,
it does. It makes it very unique.
Yes. Yeah, 100.
Like it's almost like it's weird, right? Because they're aged barrels, but it's almost like a fresh barrel.
Yeah.
You know what I mean?
Yeah.
Like
100%.
I'm getting a lot of like, I want to say sour, but it might be the like wood piney.
Yeah.
You know what it kind of reminds me of? Have you guys done barrel tastings like directly out of a barrel with
Unfortunately,
missed it. We did it here, and I missed it.
So if you do that, it's the same sensation because it's so soon after interacting with the wood that it's like this. It's like a pine fresh complexity that you get.
Mm-hmm.
I don't. This is a me thing. It tastes fresh.
Yeah. Well,
it's a weird way to describe whiskey.
No, absolutely.
It tastes fresh.
Have you ever opened like a fresh cigar box or maybe like a fresh wooden box? Mm-hmm. That sweetness of the wood is exactly not only what I'm smelling but what I'm tasting.
So that fresh flavor smell on a good cigar for me.
Yes.
Horse manure.
Yeah.
It's kind of farmy, and that's really good when I have a cigar and it smells like horse manure.
Hold on. Wait a second.
Oh man, a nice Nicaraguan wrap.
Hold on.
This would be.
I get the farm scent.
Barnyard.
I get that.
Mm-hmm.
I don't understand how horse manure is a positive thing.
Hey, just like Warren, rubber hose, all those weird things. It's an aroma
but like
thing.
rubber hose is fine. It's not excrement.
Okay, the horse crap without the really crappy smell. You know that earthy grass.
Exactly. It's more
pungent, putrid. It's been.
I'm never gonna look at cigars the same ever again.
You bring me a cigar that smells like barnyardy. I'm like, that's a good one.
I get barnyardy. That's fine. The horse.
What is it that you smell at the barnyard?
I don't know.
It's usually just
smell
like
the animals
shit.
and the grass and corn and a wooden barn. But you singled out the horse manure as as the
That's the first thing that comes to my mind. I don't know. I'm just
I like
weird one today. I'm a mess. I'm cold. Usually I'm like, yeah, I'm this morning.
Hey, somebody for my birthday give me a horse manure cigar.
Done.
That's what I
I'll
like
get you a
doing
good
that.
cigar.
That's
I know a few good ones.
If it doesn't smell like I'm stepping in just a pile of horse shit, I'm gonna be very disappointed.
Yes, I'll get you a good, and it's usually the Maduros
yes.
that are like really strong. The Maduros are really good.
I think this would go really well with a Maduro. 100%.
I mean, so initial thoughts, I love it.
Oh yeah,
It's good.
100%.
I think I could sip on this. And again, we go back to the rocks portion, right?
Yep.
The whole purpose of putting an ice cube into a glass of bourbon like this is to open up the flavor profile. Now, the mistake people make is if the flavor profile itself is not complex enough, it just goes
Watered
from to just watered down
Yes.
brown liquid, right?
Like
So
last week's would.
Yes. So that's where like there's that I guess it's two sides of the same coin. People that like bourbon neat and people that will purposely drink it with either a splash of water or on a rock because it opens up that flavor profile a little bit.
And I think what you were talking about earlier when you talked about that fresh, I think that's what it is this tastes like there's already, it's already open.
Go to your local distillery. Stranahan's does this.
Yes.
When you do the tour,
is,
at the end,
80 laws.
at the end, you sit down, you drink some neat. They put it in Glencairn. You drink some neat, and then they give you a water bottle with a little hole, and then they splash some water in there, swirl it around, let it open up, and then you taste it, and it tastes different.
Hey, here's an idea. And for you guys out there watching, would you guys like it if we did a podcast at a Stranahan's distillery or at 80 Laws, it's local here in Denver?
High Spirits, they've invited us over.
And maybe do a podcast around a whiskey tasting in an actual distillery.
Yeah, they have a rick house over at Mile High that they said we can come in and
If
do.
that's something you guys want to see,
And then
let us
that's
know.
something
That'd be-
that you could come and watch
Participate.
live. Watch us do the show live and in the rick house, and we'll bring people in.
Sure.
Man, I'm already stuttering. It's cold here.
I will say though, for the topic that we have today, I'm glad that this is the bourbon that we're sipping on.
Yeah?
Yeah.
Yeah.
Because you enjoy drinking it?
Yes.
Fair enough.
Yeah. This one is
There's only been two that I was like,
very true.
Listen, part of the reason we exist is to piss people off.
Yes.
you know what? I was on a panel this week, and
Yeah, let's give it up for Oscar. He was on the top producer panel.
no way,
Mhm.
and I was up there with some pretty high producing agents, and I think that the number one commonality that we had was, and we were in a group of other real estate agents, right? That the attendees were real estate agents, and I think at one point or another we all said we hated agents, and Matt was like, "Do you feel the love in the room?" And it's like, no, I don't hate you. I love everybody, right? But it was the reason for me getting into this business is because there's a lot of agents I don't really care for or get along with, and if you don't, as a general public, know that that's a common theme, and that's what we're here for.
Well, I just
the
went
whys of it, right?
I just went and filed my taxes, and I was sitting talking with the gentleman doing my taxes, and he, I had used him, and then my girlfriend, I had referred her to him, and we were sitting there talking, and he goes, hey Charlie, so how's the real estate stuff going? I started talking to him, and he goes, look, man, I'm sorry I actually just bought, but I got to tell you, it was a horrible experience. And I was like, please tell me more. And that instance right there, that sentence, that is why good real estate agents don't like other real estate agents, because when you're trying to sift through all the bullshit that we've talked about in the past, unfortunately, it's the shiny ones, like Oscar just said, that stand out, that people go with. And he told me straight up, I got my agent. Yeah. I think my wife just went on Zillow and she asked a question, and this is the agent that they offered him. Guys, do not go with the first agent that is offered to you. Do not.
Interview some agents, and you know what? Usually online, a lot of agents pay for those ads.
Mm-hmm.
It's not a bad thing, and you can find some really good agents, but
exposure costs money.
absolutely.
Yes, they do. And you guys, I was gone in Costa Rica / Jurassic Park 2 episodes ago, but episode 12, if you guys want to go back and listen to these two gentlemen talk, they go through the way that you should interview an agent and make sure that you're making the right decisions. And if you guys haven't seen it, make sure you go reference that, and we'll pin it on the YouTube channel. But yeah, it's a great resource if you guys have questions.
I hope this podcast shows who we are.
Mm-hmm.
I mean, we're people. Obviously, we've been doing this for a while, and we want to provide. I feel because I don't do a lot of marketing and I'm not exposed, because 80% of my business is referral. It's my sphere.
Yeah.
And it's done well. And on that panel, we talked about the sphere, and a lot of the agents up there, like, we don't like it because family beat me up on price, friends beat. No,
Yeah, that's an agent problem.
right. It's a problem, right? Because my sphere knows my value, and I've had clients say, no, charge me what you charge me. You deserve it, you know, and that
Especially
makes me
that
feel
fancy
good.
new logo.
And that let me know what that logo.
Well, and with that being said, I mean, I think that's that wonderful tie-in to our first big real estate myth.
What are we gonna?
But before we go with that, what I was saying with that is there's a shift, right, of what the agent or the real estate agent looks like. The whole glamour shot, all that stuff is out the door. That's what I was going with the logo. I'm doing a disservice by not doing what I need to do to promote myself. And gentlemen here, these two do a great job, and I'm learning from them. From a real estate standpoint, I could do it from in my sleep, but from a marketing standpoint, these two gentlemen know what they're doing. And I hate talking about myself, although I'm talking about myself now. But I'm doing a disservice to the general public because I know what I'm doing. And I don't want the crappy agent doing the job. It screws it up for us and the consumer. And this shows for you. It's for the consumer.
Well, and like I was going to say before, is one of the biggest reasons that people don't want to go with real estate agents is because, oh, I'm going to save money if I don't have an agent, right? So what does that lead to? For sale by owner. And this is the myth that I brought up for today's episode, specifically because I want to talk about the net, the real reason why for sale by owner is a lot of the time going to be worse for you. It's going to lose you money. And because we've hammered so hard on get the right real estate agent, I don't even want to go down that route in a way, because yeah, we can talk about how they market, we can talk about how they talk about your property, we can talk about all that. But what I know that you guys want to hear about is your pocket, because the number one reason why people do for sale by owners is because they believe they're going to save money. So I know I was talking to Jameson before this, and since he's the stat guy, I even cut to him, and I bet you right now, yep, he's on his laptop.
No, baby.
Stat man.
Stats.
Well, and let me hit you with something. Can you sell real estate without a real estate agent? Absolutely. 100% you can. You know what else you can do? Is go to court without an attorney.
Yep, 100%.
Will you? Yes.
I was looking for a good analogy for it, and
But
that was great.
What's the cliche? He who represents himself has a fool for a client. Isn't that how it goes? So we do know the ins and outs. We're going to save you from a lawsuit. We're gonna try to get you. Your best interest is our fiduciary responsibility to you. Your best interest is our best interest.
Well, and not
so
only
if
that,
you want to make money, then we'll tell you the strategy we're gonna do to get you top dollar. Is it time, money, convenience? We're gonna go through those things.
Well, and not only that, it's like Jameson said on last week's episode, that contract to buy is 92 pages, and most of that is all the information that we learn going through real estate school to learn what's in that contract.
Well, the whole package is about that many pages. When I first started in the industry, our contracts to buy and sell, I believe, 6 pages.
Hey, so real quick, just to make this controversial, the real estate exam itself is comically easy. And I've said this from when I started. The barrier to entry to being an agent is way too low, right? It is. And I say that as an agent with 2 years of experience. I've done 25 deals in the last 24 months, anywhere from 300,000 to 1.8 million. And I've worked with a lot of clients, a lot of success, but the barrier is low, right? And there's people that have time in the industry, and then there's people that have experience in the industry.
Yes.
And I think that's a very big thing to differentiate.
Huge.
Right?
You be doing real estate for 30 years, but if you do one transaction a year,
time in the industry.
Good question. Good question to ask your agent. How many deals do you do a year? Because if they've been in the industry for 20 years, they do one deal a year, they're not relevant on what's going on in the industry or the market now. So huge.
Tying into what Charlie's
yes, and that's what I said. I don't want to beat on the real estate agent thing.
But the reason it's important is because if you look at the statistics, we should have like a stat corner.
Yeah.
You know what I mean? So here's the top reasons that people decide to go for sale by owner, or to make it easy for you guys, the rest of the podcast, FSBO. That's what we call it, for sale by owner. Number one is to save money. It's about 61%. To save time is 37%. Confident you could sell without an agent, 36%. Already know a potential buyer, 32%, which ties into time, right? Because on average, FSBOs can sell faster than a traditional listing, most likely because the FSBOs, FSBOs, know a buyer. And then you have I knew my home better than any agent could, which is hilarious.
Yes.
We talked about that on a previous episode.
And that's a big because you think your house is this huge mansion. It's always good to get a third party or a separate pair of eyes on your house.
Here's the other one that we just touched on. Negative experience with a previous agent, right? So a couple things to break down. We'll go through the to save money part, right? Because I think time and money are mutually inclusive.
Absolutely,
Like
100%.
If you look at the negative experience with an agent, that's, again, going back to the episode we did about making sure you vet what we do. So if we break it down and we take out the first one, I'm going to save money. That's why I want to sell my home as a for sale by owner, okay?
Yeah.
So here's the statistic of why that may or may not make sense.
And pay attention to these numbers.
Pay attention. So on average, a for sale by owner home sells, and this is nationwide, right? So I know people are going to come at me, Colorado's average price isn't even closest. Shut up. Doesn't matter. It's not the point. The point is, on average, throughout the United States, a for sale by owner house will sell for about $217,000. Okay? A house listed by an agent will sell for about $295,000.
Whoa, what were those numbers again?
Yeah, $214,000 to $295,000. So if you want to break down the percentage, and again, depending on who's doing the survey, it's gonna change. Anywhere from a 6% to a 25%, up to 30% in some markets, difference between for sale by owner, purchase price, or sold price versus something listed by an agent. Okay. The reason that's important is because right now in Colorado, right, and there's other states and counties and whatever, the average listing commission on a house is about 5.5%. Okay. You will, if you sell your house with an agent, you're going to spend 5.5%. Okay. Well, if I'm losing 6%, or actually, you know what? Let's just do worst case scenario. Let's see the difference is on the low end, I make 5.5% less if I sell my house by myself versus with an agent. And the difference is made up of, well, I could take that 5% and pay an agent. Now it's same, right? I'm going to net the exact same amount of money.
Well, which then ties into
Now it turns into the time.
Exactly.
And it turns into the energy. And it turns into the phone calls and writing a contract.
Headaches.
And reviewing a contract,
The headaches.
and being there for an inspection and negotiating inspection items.
And talking to
getting an
lawyers.
appraiser and talking to lawyers and doing all these different things. If it's net for net equal, why, for the love of God, would you do it yourself?
Now, let me ask you this.
Because of a shitty agent, totally understand, vet your agent.
On top of that, I don't know if you have that there.
Probably.
What is the percentage of the time on market for a FSBO?
Right. So percent time on market for a FSBO on average is about 2 weeks less on market than a traditionally listed property. But that is because of the FSBOs, for sale by owners, again. For
No, but that doesn't have a buyer already.
That doesn't have a, right. That's what I'm saying. So 52% of for sale by owners have a buyer in mind.
If they don't have a buyer in mind, their marketing is not going to reach the marketing that we have, right? We have the MLS and all our marketing budget and whatever we do. So
I'll ask you a quick question. How much does it take? What does it cost to put a house on the MLS if you're not a realtor? Do you know? It's about $1,000.
if
Just to list it on the MLS to
If
reach
that.
that audience.
right
$1,000.
on top of that, let's say that your house sits because you have a for sale by owner sign and that's all you're depending on. It sits there for 6 months. Let's call it 6 months. What is your mortgage? Calculate that every month. If it's $1,500, at the end of the day, you could have paid that agent, got it sold in 2-3 months because they would have done a market analysis. So you just pay to the agent. You reduce your stress level if you get a good agent. Where's the savings?
Yep.
What is your peace of mind worth more than X amount of dollars? And or we're gonna get you the most money. If they come to me and it's like money, that's it. Okay, this is what's gonna happen. We put together a game plan and we roll with it.
There's a statistic for what you just talked about too. So of the for sale by owners, and all of them in totality, 25% fail to sell their house. And then do you know what they do?
End up real.
They end up
hiring
using
real
So
estate.
now you've just taken 4 to 6 months of your lifetime energy and put it into something that
And you lost money
Mm-hmm.
and time.
Oscar, on a busy listing, okay? So you list for 2 weeks. On average, if you're averaging, I don't know, 1 to 2 showings a day, how many phone calls are you taking in that week? Or making,
10 to 12 phone calls.
right? 10 to 12
Easily.
phone calls.
Last year, you know what? I wouldn't make all the phone calls. I'd make the higher end phone calls. You know, I know that they came and saw it twice.
What about showings? How do you
Showings,
manage showings?
right? I mean, we have Showtime. We have a ton of broker bay, and then some have receptionists, all that stuff. We take all that stress off of you.
If I'm a for sale by owner, how do I get
You're going to get all the phone calls. You're going to get all the weirdos. You're going to get the looky-loos. We eliminate the Craigslist people. How much is the price? Because we only take the phone calls from serious agents that have serious buyers.
And then we do. We vet lenders.
We vet lenders.
And then on top of that,
Does the general public know what to ask the lenders?
well, and then on top of that too, one of my favorite things around for sale by owners is they go for sale by owner, and then they get phone calls from probably 100 real estate agents in a week,
Oh, absolutely.
and they're angry about it. And I get that. You want to sell your home, and you don't want to be bothered, and I understand all that. But again, there's a reason that they're calling, because they see potential in your property, and they know that they can make a better deal probably than you can. And again, that's negating the outliers here, the 2% of people who do really put the work in, because I know you're out there. I know that you do this, and I'm not taking it away from you, and that is phenomenal. But again, that is a small amount of people that are actually knowledgeable to the level that they need to be in order to capitalize on their sale or purchase.
If anything, let's take that headache away from you.
Exactly.
And at the end of the day, what's the monetary value on that?
Yep.
I can Google, you know, if something's wrong with me, but you know what? I want to go see a doctor.
Exactly. I can go stick my hand around an electric socket, but I'm
gonna call an electrician.
Yeah, exactly.
One, because I may know what to do and I may do it right, but what if I don't?
Yep.
That's a hazard. My house is gonna burn down. My kids are in there. I don't want that.
Yep.
I'm not saying that if you don't go a real estate agent, your house will burn down. Maybe that was a little extreme, but maybe it will.
So here's another statistic, and this is more from a psychological standpoint, because, and I think this ties in. We said initially 61% of FSBOs, for sale by owners, do that because they want to save money, which means they're going to save money and they think they can make as much as they possibly can from their house, right?
Yep.
Here's a statistic that I don't think people understand the importance of. 73% of buyers in the United States think either themselves or their agent can out-negotiate a FSBO seller. That is hugely important, because what you are doing essentially is, as soon as I put it for sale by owner, you are inviting bullshit, lowball offers initially. Then you're inviting getting beat up on inspection items. You're inviting getting beat up on appraisal value. All these different things that you are now going against a skilled negotiation expert and a buyer who is confident in said agent, or even themselves, to say, I can get a better deal with it for sale by owner. So not only are you losing money just based off the fact that you're not marketing the house widely enough, now you're losing money because you're going against people that are skilled and trained in negotiation and the ins and outs of contracts, like Oscar said, right?
Yep.
Are there scenarios where a for sale by owner makes sense? Yeah, if I have my neighbor Joe and has told me, I'm going to give you X amount for this house, as soon as you put it for sale by owner, I'm going to write an offer. We're going to be off the market and closed in a week and a half, and I got to move on my life. By all means, go for it. What I will tell you guys is, if you do that, consult an attorney, make sure they look over the contracts, because we can't help you, and understand that any legal actions outside of that, you guys are on the hook for, right? So there are scenarios that for sale by owner make sense, but by and large, if we take the number one complaint about an agent is, well, I want to save money, the statistics are, even at the low end, a 5.5% difference is a net zero between a seller using an agent or not. The time and energy involved tips those scales.
The headaches.
If you go the high end at 26, 27% difference, the 6 or 5.5% commission, you're still making 20% more than you would if you were to sell very simple.
And that's not to mention the network that you get with the agent.
As soon as that for sale by owner hits the yard, the sign, and or the internet, you are inviting the biggest predatory, harshest, most aggressive negotiator in the industry to call you. You know who that is? The investors.
I would do it.
Investor will.
If I'm looking to invest, I'll go for
the investor will
100%.
eat you alive because he doesn't give a crap.
No,
he's
money.
looking at money, dollar signs, and numbers. That's it.
Yeah.
He doesn't give a crap about the house
and by the way,
or your emotional
to answer
process.
your question earlier, Oscar, when you said time on market, right? For the ones that have a buyer, it's less than a traditional listing, okay? But if they don't have a buyer in mind, it's twice as long.
Where's the savings?
And
where's the savings?
And honestly, guys, I understand this is a sore topic, so please challenge us. Let us know in the comments. Give us your concerns, give us your grievances, because we want to answer that question. We want to help you understand why it's more beneficial.
Starting wholesalers, that's a whole other.
Yeah, no,
Investors.
right? We're gonna, but for the sake of time, because we have a list of these
You guys,
of these myths that we want to go through. And this next one is another big one that a lot of people, and I've touched on it in the past in episodes, is you need 20% down to buy a home. Isn't that right, Jameson? Isn't that right, Oscar?
You know what? On average, the buyers that I work with, 20% is few and far between. On average, it goes with what lending product they go with. Conventional, 5%. FHA, 3.5%. VA, 100%. USDA, 100%. So
or 0%.
and you know and or 0% with down payment assistance, FHA, it's 0%. We were talking about this earlier. Leverage your money. Leverage your money. How long are you going to stay in the property? Are you going to say, is this your forever home? Okay, 20%, you just transfer over your equity, call it good. If my clients have more than 20%, I tell them stop. Do not. Unless it makes sense, unless you're like, I don't care where it is, I want to keep my payment as low as possible. I want to transfer all my equity if it's more than 20%. 20% is a sweet spot because you don't have mortgage insurance and you save money. But how long is it going to take for you to save $20,000 by saving $100 a month? Calculate that.
Well, and
that's how I present it to my clients.
Yeah, and that's
leverage your money.
What I was gonna lead off to Jameson, because Jameson, you were talking about that before the show, is over that time, people don't think about 17, 20 years.
So and again, I run into this probably more with like first-time home buyers, right? Which I think is fair, right? You guys haven't gone through the process, maybe you haven't talked to the right people, or we get the old adage of, well, my parents bought at 20%.
Yeah.
But your parents also told you to go to college and you're getting $100,000. There's a lot of things that we're changing, right?
And they walked uphill both ways to
in the snow.
In the snow.
Right?
Cold
So
outside.
it's,
I
to
get
me,
it.
I
Defying physics.
I agree a full 100% with Oscar, right? It depends on how long you're going to be in the house, because people underestimate. If I put, let's say I buy what's the average home price in Colorado right now? Probably $600,000, right? Give or take.
About 80 to 60.
Whatever. 20% is $120,000. Okay. If I put $120,000 down on a $600,000 house, realistically, you're saving, and I could do the math. I don't have it in front of me. You guys can do the calculator, but essentially $6 for every $1,000 financed, roughly. Okay.
$6 to $10.
Whatever that is. Okay. So if I decrease my loan by $120,000, right? That's what? 120 times 6, whatever that is, $600 a month, $700, maybe $600 a month.
$740.
And understand, you could allocate that money into a bank account and subsidize your payment if you need to do that.
The point is,
and you'll still save.
how many months does it take to save, call it $500 a month, to make up the difference of $120,000 out of your pocket?
Yeah, well, and I think ultimately the biggest thing to, that ties this all in when it comes to the 20%, what Oscar was talking about earlier with some lenders and some options have you do, 5% down or whatever. The whole reason that this 20% thing is a myth is because people think that unless they have 20%, they will not get into it.
Yes, and that's what I was going to say. The general public, how long is it going to take you to save up $120,000?
Yes.
You don't have to. You could still make home ownership happen.
Yeah.
with $1,000.
Well, yeah, and granted,
And again, interest rates go up.
Yes.
You know what goes up? Rents go up.
Yeah.
Why not make it yours?
well, and not only that, don't get me wrong. I'm not going to sit here and say, oh, you don't have to do 20%. Obviously, just like if you're buying a car, the more money you put down,
Yes.
the better it's going to be long term. But the whole point of the 20% down conversation, saving money, all of that is, would you rather do 5%, 3%, 0% down with the VA, and be in an asset where you're actually earning money and you're making money versus saving and continually trying to save while interest rates are going up, while your rent's going up? And yes, granted, in some areas, it is still more viable to save for the year than to just go ahead and put the down payment down.
Great segue to that. If you want to get crazy, I could tell you how to allocate your money and make it into investment. Now you're buying a property that's your own, and then you have some saved over. Let's get you investment property.
Again,
I mean, there's a lot of stuff you can do with your money.
So
Leverage your cash.
Let's do some hard math. real quick. Very simple. We're going to take the same example.
Do I need to bust out my hard calculator on my
Let's
phone?
do $600,000 house. 20% down is $120,000.
Yep.
Okay. So let's say, for argument's sake, you have $120,000.
Yep.
Right. If I put 120 down,
Mm-hmm.
it's going to save me about, and again, it's scenario specific,
Yes.
because sometimes if I put that money down, it saves me $700 a month. That gets me qualified. Obviously, that's a different story, right? Talk to your lender. Always talk to your lender. Talk to your lender. Talk to your lender. Make sure it makes sense. However,
Case by case.
let's say you can afford a $700 swing because you can either put 20% down or you can put 10% down, right? And that swing in monthly payments is about $350 a month.
Yep.
Okay. So if I put 20% down, I'm going to save $700. Okay. Versus 10% down, I'm going to save $350.
Yep.
The amount of time it's going to take me for that extra $350 to make sense for putting $60,000 extra dollars down is almost 9 years.
Yep.
Are you planning on being in your house for 9 years? If the answer is no, then it doesn't make any sense. And you take that a step further and you go, okay, I've got 120 grand. If I put $60,000 down on the house, then I take the other 60 and I buy a $300,000 condo
Whoa, wait a second. You're talking about leverage again?
with 20% down, and then I rent said condo out, and I don't count it against my debt to income because the lender goes, hey, by the way, you have a executed lease. We're not going to count it up to 75%. Now I've got a house I can live in that I
Which
can
is an asset.
which is an asset. I've got a condo that I own that I'm renting out, which is not only an asset, but is cash flowing.
Yep.
And then you can start to build it there.
Well, and the thing that I want to point out is, as somebody who came from, and I call it the hippie mindset, but as somebody who did come from the understanding of like, oh, assets are dangerous or credit's dangerous, all this kind of stuff, please, 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 for your future, cut through the noise, take the time to sit down and talk with a financial expert, or even if it's just a lender, and learn. Because
You don't understand the leverage we have here in the United States.
Yes,
Not all countries do this, but take advantage of it.
well, I mean, and that for me, I'll tell you, in all honesty,
You know how to utilize it, debt is
the thing that snapped me out of it. There's a documentary on Netflix that talks about Donald Trump and was it Jared Kushner, his son-in-law, and
Ashton Kutcher, Jared Kushner, one
one of the Kushners. But I remember I was watching it, and it was basically talking about how Jared Kushner, Donald Trump, all these real estate moguls, how they've gone around and used these loopholes and used these laws.
How many times has Donald Trump filed bankruptcy?
Yeah, but again, I had no idea that. I thought, oh, you're filing, your life's over, you filed bankruptcy.
Yeah.
But watching this, I'm sitting here and I'm going, wait a second. These people are legitimately just trying to get rich. What if somebody was there to help the consumer understand this?
Knowing debt wisely can make you money.
Absolutely.
How many people, on the flip side of that, how many people do you know have paid off their mortgage
Very little.
very little.
or their
Grandparents.
house or their house?
Yeah.
Grandparents.
Did they acquire wealth in the process?
Mhm. Oh, yeah.
Yes. If you leverage debt right, you're always going to have some kind of debt. I mean, to be completely debt free, few and far between people do it.
Yes.
But if you know how to leverage debt, the banking system, you can make your own money.
100%. Well, and not to mention, especially even now, pay attention to what inflation rates are doing. You see all the memes where it's like, oh, I finally got to middle class and then inflation happened. That's legitimately what it is. I did it for years. If you have money in the bank, and we've talked about it before, you're making a minimal amount. So yes, it's a risk. And guys, You can ask anybody in my life. You can ask Jameson. You can ask. I'm terrified of money. Like I stopped myself from buying a Reese bar at a gas station.
Bill at him yesterday. He ran away.
Like I don't.
What's your relationship with money? That's a thing.
Well, and I don't.
T. Harv Eker,
Right.
great millionaire mindset. He talks about that. What's
But
your relationship with money?
That's really for me. That's the biggest point I want to drive home is when it comes to 20% down. Just do the research, educate yourself, and understand that while 20% down could be one of the top options, if your goal is to buy a house, start a family, get an asset, it is doable without 20% down.
My buyer's consultation, I used to be a lender. I started in this industry as a lender. It will go through the difference of if you have this much money, what can you do with that on top of just buying a house? I just have to have that conversation.
Yep.
Now on the flip side, on the listing side, I do that as well. I'm not going to sit here. If you're going to buy with me, I'm not going to sit here. Even if you're not, I'm going to list your house and call it. Yep. No, I am going to let you know you have an asset here. Have you thought about maybe pulling a second or a HELOC or refinancing, pulling that money, and then buying your next home?
Yeah, and I think that's there's a couple things, right? So I think that we could probably do, honestly,
Thank you.
an entire episode on leveraging debt, right?
Yes.
The point of this conversation is to make you guys realize that 20% is an old adage
Yes.
Yes.
that is not necessary anymore. Like I said,
And it's also a lot harder to do now.
I've got 24 deals under my belt. Okay, just over the last 24 months. Of those, 2 have put down 20% or more. That's literally it, right?
Yep.
Just 2. And of those, they were all over 1.2 to 1.8 million dollars, which you get into jumbo and so on and so forth, right? So at the end of the day, is it necessary? No. Is it easy to buy a house with under 20%? Yes. I just did a video yesterday that showed that one of the things when you do go into 20%, you need private mortgage insurance.
Yep.
Which hedges their bet. You're considered a high risk borrower because you have less than 20% down. Federal government just came in and said if it's an FHA loan under 20%, they are going to decrease the cost of that mortgage insurance. So now it just actually became easier to buy a house with 3.5% down or 10% down or 5.5% down because now for every $100,000 you borrow, you're getting a $25 a month discount. So on a $400,000 loan, you're saving $100 a month by not putting 20% down.
Yes.
Bottom line, you don't need 20,000 or 20% to purchase a home. I've seen some crazy situations where I was like, they're not going to be able to buy, and they bought.
Yes.
Don't be afraid.
There are possibilities. Remember.
Sit down with your agent. Sit down with a lender. You can make home ownership possible when you think I can't, and we will figure a way, and we will beat it until we find out, or put you on a plan. In 6 months, let's revisit and see where we are.
Yep. Now, again, these first 2 topics were heavy, and honestly, each one probably deserves its own episode. But I'm going to be real with you guys. I don't think that we're getting through 5 today. So,
Well, that segue into the next one. First-time home buyers.
Well, it depends on what the next
that's what I was going to say. Now we have to choose out of the 3 we got left.
Well, and this can be quick. This one can be quick.
Go for it.
So, home ownership.
Okay.
First-time home buyers, right? You can get into a home. With that said, we don't have a special inventory on the real estate side for first-time home buyers. Is that house, how can I get a deal? Is there a special inventory? Is there something special on the real estate side? No, it's on the lending side. Yes, there are some specific homes that have been deemed by the state low-income properties, which, yes, those properties you have to qualify for. And it's hard. Their parameters are like this. You have to fit in this box or you're not getting that house. So in the same neighborhood, you can have a $500,000 house. But if it's been placed in a low-income threshold, it might only be able to be marketed at $250 to $300.
Yep.
Because when you go into low-income housing, it's not low-income housing. It's a low-income program. There are stipulations. When you buy that property, say you fit in this box. You acquire the property. Now you could only sell your property can only go up in value 25% of what the current market. Yeah, that's on the high end. On top of that, if you're going
like 3% a year,
if you're going into condos and townhomes, there's a certain programs that will sell you a super awesome condo or townhome, and they'll tell you, you know what, you'll buy it, but it's not 100% yours, because the organization that put it together owns the property, and they're going to give you $100 lease fee for the entirety of the time you live there. So it's not yours 100%.
And so just so we have it clarified, the myth that we're talking about right now is that as a first-time home buyer, there are certain properties that are made for first-time home buyers.
No,
That is not.
that's not the case. There is some exceptions, but understand that in the realm of real estate, it's consumer to consumer. It's not typically industry, and then there's consumer, like, let's call it a car lot, right? It's not. It's consumer to consumer, and we're just facilitating the process.
Yeah. The
right?
differentiator is this. You have first-time homebuyer programs for the amount of money you need to borrow. They're not first-time homebuyer houses that you can purchase at a discounted price unless you fall into very specific income restricted.
And it's county or state. Some big organizations that are going to have those, and there's not a whole lot, and they're very, very, very hard. It's like you have to make $35,000 a year, have one child.
It's depending on the number of people in the house.
Yes, it could go up to 6 people, and it's $35,000 for just yourself, maybe $36,000 or $39,000 with a child, $45,000 with 3. At that point, if you're making $45,000, you have 3 kids, it's going to be hard, because what are you spending your money on? And on top of that, what is the biggest factor with all of that is debt.
I think
you have to have 0 debt, and that's tough.
I think that we need to dedicate an entire episode to low-income housing.
And that's all I'm going to say about that. And so there is no house that, that's a special house, unless it's part of a government issued or a big organization issued home or housing project, and it's not going to benefit you. I try to detour people from that. There was one occasion, and then this may be segue to the next one, which is real estate agents make a whole ton of money. I don't know if
Let's talk about that one.
But this certain individual filled my cup. I helped her for about a year. I put her into one of these programs, and this one fit for her. And it was 100% hers. She can't appreciate more than 25%, but outside of that, it was perfect for her. And I helped her out for a whole year, probably a little bit over a year, and I think I made $2,000 on the deal.
And so for a first-time home buyer, focus on the programs you qualify for, not the house.
On the lending side.
Yes.
It's on the lending side more than anything, not on the real estate side.
Like Oscar said, one of the biggest myths around real estate is that real estate agents make a lot of money.
Or too much.
We're millionaires.
Too much money.
You know what? There is. If you're good at your job, you're going to be. It's a very lucrative business. If you're good at your job and you're helping the consumer, it's a way of living.
So let me, and we've talked about this before, but let me go ahead and just kind of create this scene for you when it comes to real estate agents that make a lot of money, right? And you would say real estate agents that quote unquote make a lot of money or make too much money, they're probably doing what, 15 to 20 deals a year plus, right?
A real estate agent that's wealthy, that's making a lot of money, is doing 50 plus.
50, exactly.
50 plus.
Okay. So with that being said, we've talked about in the past that when it comes to real estate agents, 10% of all the real estate agents account for 90% of the total sales. Okay? So what that means now is that you have a full 90% of agents, right? All those agents that are not selling homes at that level.
Statman, what's the average amount of transactions that your average real estate agent does?
In Colorado,
In Colorado.
it was less than 4 a year.
For a year. You know, if on average an agent is making, let's call it 10 grand per transaction, that's $40,000 in the state of Colorado. That is not a livable income.
Average income is 57.
Yes. So
Yeah, the average income for a real estate agent in the United States, $48,000 a year.
which again,
Sorry, but I'm not doing it for the money for $48,000.
Here's the deal, right? And I think this is where people get confused, and this is why this is such a hot topic, because you look at it from 2 different lenses. I look at it, if I'm a consumer, from the singular agent that I employed to sell my house or to help me purchase a house, right? We get a whole other thing. If you're a buyer, you don't really pay your real estate agent. Just saying.
right.
Yeah.
I
You don't
mean,
pay anything.
you do or you don't. I mean, it's
It comes from a listing brokerage. Like
mathematics.
the seller is paying the
commission.
both agents, and they can adjust their price to cover some of that and whatever it is. But anyway,
Dare I say, it's another topic,
yes,
new construction.
Right.
Those builders are paying us.
yeah,
You're not saving a dime
paying us,
because it's already built into their budget.
But I think where the disconnect is if I use an agent to sell my house. Let's say this agent does 3 deals a year. I sell my house. I go to closing, $700,000 house. I'm watching that agent walk away with a check for 2.8%.
Yep.
Right? Which is, I don't know,
Let's call it
35,
let's call it 17 grand.
$20,000.
Yep.
20 grand. Okay. And I go, holy shit, they just made $20,000 by putting my house on the market, conducting open houses, talking to people on the phone, reviewing contracts. That's what that's what
Summary.
the overall summary is.
I had
What
this
people
conversation
see,
with the
right?
client.
So there's two things. There could be that agent that, yes, only does it for family and friends and does it 2 to 3 times a year, and every single time they walk away with $15,000 to $20,000. Is that agent a good agent? Probably not. Did they leave money on the table for their client? Probably.
Absolutely.
Did they open themselves up for litigation, different things?
Lawsuits.
Potentially, right? But as a consumer, I just see that one person. Well, now if I say, hey, that same person only makes $42,000 a year, is the conversation different?
Well, and honestly,
I mean?
for me, it just comes down to it. Where whenever I hear somebody say that, like, "Oh, I don't want to go with the real estate agent," they just want to make the money off of me. It's like, okay, you go to work and you work for money. You get that. That's how we survive, is money. I just want to look at somebody and be like, man, I just want more time. That's the only reason why I'm a real estate agent. I get to help people. I get to see excitement on their faces, and I genuinely just want more time. I've done the corporate thing. I've done the hourly paycheck, and at the end of the day, I'd rather bust my ass for a client and make them happy and make sure that they are comfortable in the house that they're in than work for this big corporation that at the end of the day doesn't give a shit about me.
Two things. One, that individual that I helped, if you calculate the hours I worked helping her, I made less than $2 an hour at the end of the day. But at the end of the closing, she thanked me. We both cried in the parking lot. She was like, Oscar, this is the first time that my son and my mother have a place to call our own, and we don't have to move or live with family. And I was like, dude, I didn't want to cry, but I cried.
Yep.
And that made the world of difference for me. Now, is this my primary job? Yes. And that takes me to another thing. It's that whole analogy that this big company, the power goes out, it shuts down, and then they're losing billions of dollars, whatever. They call the engineer at the butt crack of dawn, and he comes over and he flips a switch, and he charges them $15,000.
Yep.
And they're like, holy crap, you just charged me $15,000 for an hour of your time. And he turns around and he says, look, hourly, I came out here, I flipped the switch, you're making money again. Yes, maybe that's $100 to $200 that I should have charged for this, but the rest of the money is knowing what switch to flip.
Exactly.
Right, and that's
paying for the expertise. You're paying for the knowledge.
Yes, you're paying for the knowledge at the end of the day. If you're going to hire an attorney, you're going to go for the cheapest attorney. You're going to go one that's going to go in there like a shark and tear it up, and is going to have your best interest.
Yep.
Real estate's the same thing.
Exactly.
You know, cheap isn't always good, although I tend to give my listings a bit of a discount because, you know what, I've been doing this long enough. It's your money. I want you to keep a lot of it. And I've had clients come back to me and say, no, charge me what you need to charge me. You're going to do your job, right? Because, and then this takes me to another thing. I had this conversation with a client. It was my client's wife, actually. He goes, I'm going to get into real estate. I calculate how much your money you're going to make on the buy side.
Yeah.
Right? They weren't even paying me.
Yep.
And I said, okay, let's sit down and talk really quick. You got to go get your license. Easy. And then out of the money that you make on your transaction, you're going to have to pay your firm. You're more than likely a fee, a split or whatever. You need to allocate some money for gas, your real estate fees, the board fees, your MLS, all these bills that you have on top of your daily bills. And then you're going to take out your own taxes, whatever tax bracket you're in. So that $20,000 that we talked about earlier, let's take 25, 30, about 20% off for taxes. Now you're only making 15. Now, if you've been helping these people for 3 months, now divide it by 3, and that's what they're going to make a month. And then let's take out your dues, your fees, your gas, your time, and then calculate that. At the end of the day, if you're a good agent, yes, you can make a whole lot of money. But if you just want to become an agent to make that dollar, it's not going to work for you.
No.
My business has always been around filling a need, and that's helped me move forward as a real estate agent.
Jameson, you're cooking up some numbers over here.
I had a client that I worked with for about 17 months. Okay. And in that 17 months, I averaged probably 5 to 7 hours a week.
Yep.
On either researching, showing homes, phone calls, etc. Right? Between him and the lender, whatever it is. After 17 months, we finally closed $325,000 townhome. I got him concessions. I ended up actually giving up $2,500 in my commission to help close the deal, to close the gap, because it was contentious. And if I calculate all of those numbers out based on time spent, now this does not include gas. This does not include wear and tear on a car. This does not include
Paying me to go show one of the locations while you were at it.
Yep. Paying other agents to show locations. This does not include health insurance costs.
Yep.
Okay.
That's, yes.
If I calculated what I made, which 100% transparency on that deal, $7,600. Okay. Of that $7,600, I owed my brokerage a percentage, 10%. There goes $760. So I was at about $7,000. If I calculate what I made over that 16 months of working with this client, first-time home buyer, never owned before, had a roach-infested apartment that he was desperate to get out of. Again, same story. Cried at the closing table. Got money back because of the way I negotiated. He actually walked away with, $2,000+ in a check to himself. Right? I made about $12 an hour.
Yep.
Okay. So again, it's all relative.
Yes.
And on the flip side, you can have an agent that sucks at their job and walks away with more money than they deserve.
Absolutely.
That's fine.
Absolutely.
100%. At a certain point, that's on the consumer for choosing a shitty agent.
100%.
I'm not mad at the
To
consumer
help
for
you
being...
pick the best one.
I'm not mad at the consumer
accountability.
for being mad at our industry.
Yes.
Because there is
100%.
a lot of crappy things going in our industry. It just is. And we're part of it. Again, I've talked about the whole, we went to the Winter Park Jazz Fest.
Yeah.
And I was in and I sparked up a conversation. I'm the introverted extrovert. We found that out today. And I said I was a real estate agent, and the woman turned around and said, oh, and at the time, it was during the recession, she goes, you're an ambulance chaser. Ouch. Ouch.
Well,
That
and
sucks.
the
You
one
don't
thing-
know me. You don't know my business plan.
and
You don't know
that's-
what I've done.
And that's one thing that
so
I
our
do-
industry has a lot of stigma on it.
Well, that's one thing that I want, because we're all being, it's hard, right? When you have a worldwide platform, when you have an internet-based platform, obviously we're up in arms. And when you hear people being vulnerable in this way, talking about it, especially around such a topic of why do real estate agents make so much money, right? The one thing that I want to drill home is this conversation that we're having right now is not to boast about ourselves.
No.
This conversation is strictly to give you an inside perspective that you probably don't have otherwise. And where we're talking about, transactions that we've had, where we're talking about our experiences, what we want, by no means are we sitting here looking for your attention. We don't have to be here. We don't have to sit here and talk about this. But like we said at the beginning of this episode, we want to give you information because we want to make sure that not only are you making the most money off of your sales and saving the most on your buys, we just want you to have an insight to the industry so it eases your mind a little bit more when you think about real estate.
Nor should you know these things. If your agent's telling you, well, I have to pay this and I have to pay that, that's a problem.
Yes.
That's his or her problem. My job is to help you. That's all you have to worry about.
Yes.
But this conversation gives you a little bit of insight of our side of the deal, not for, oh, woe is me or feel sorry for us. No. But know that there's more involved, and we're not just trying to take advantage. The good agents aren't trying to take advantage of you, your situation, and your money.
And again, challenge us on it.
Two final thoughts.
Yeah.
Number one.
Wait, are these like one rock takeaway thoughts?
This
or-
is
okay.
on this specific topic.
This is a Jameson. I'm going to tell you what I think.
Yeah, this is just me being like, here's the deal. As much as people say we're overpaid, okay, and let's say they say, okay, well, if I list your house and we go underneath what the list price was, I don't make as much money.
Yep.
Okay. But the flip side, and I think this is even more important, is let's say I list a house for $675,000, $700,000, and during the negotiation, I market the house well, I get eyes on it, I have people come in, they're interested, so on and so forth, and all of a sudden it turns into a bidding war, and that house at $675,000 or $700,000 sells for $770,000. What have I done? I have made that person $70,000.
Yes.
The equivalent of my commission increase is like $2,000,
Mm-hmm.
right? It is not a lot.
And that's an equivalent of someone's yearly income.
Exactly. So I can contribute and essentially give somebody $60,000, $70,000 more than what they were expecting based on my skills, negotiation, marketing plan, expertise, etc. And it's going to net them $70,000. It's going to cost them $2,000. If I were to go to any person watching this and say, "Hey, if you give me $2,000, I'll give you 70," there is not a person on the planet that's going to go, "No, I don't want it. It's free money. Fuck that. Get out of my
I'll
face,"
slit my
right?
throat. I'll slit my
That's what I'm
throat
saying.
right now. Check this out.
But that's
I have a scenario.
the part that people don't understand.
And I'm going to call out this company right now, Open Door. They approached my client.
Might as well be called closed door.
Hey,
Whatever. We're all slitting our throats here. You know what? Open Door contacted my client. I was interviewing her, and she's a past client, so she was going to go with me. She calls me. She said, "Hey, Oscar, I need to get out of here. I need to get out of here." Open Door offered me $550 cash tomorrow for my house. I said, "Okay. Give me 45 days. Market was hot. Give me 45 days. I will sell your house for over $550. I will sell it for at least $600. Is it worth $50,000? She goes, "Sure. I'll give you 45 days." I said, that's all I need. That's all I need.
$25,000 a month.
Yep.
Why not?
well, but
You know how much I sold that house for?
yeah. What?
$675.
Boom.
I made her $100,000. What she paid me was not part of that $100,000 after it's all said and done, because I asked for nothing. So
Yep.
I get myself a time, right? and that's key. I'm not going to hold you off the market. I'm going to do my best. I'm going to dedicate my time, my expertise, because I know and it was in Legacy Ridge. I knew that was going to sell. It actually sold to another agent
Nice.
in less than 45 days.
Right. So that's the point, right? That's where we put the work in, and we don't like if you look at it, what we can make customers is not comparable to what we actually make.
Absolutely.
Which is fine.
Absolutely.
The second piece of this, and this is the last thing I'll say, is people don't understand the hats that we wear.
Mhm.
We're there for the inspection. We're there for the cries. We're there for the divorcees.
Oh.
We're there for the lawyer conversations.
My wife said I was more like a therapist
Yes.
than anything else.
We are there
Because I do care.
That's it, right? And we don't charge for that, but it's built into how much we make. And the good agents will justify those costs. That's it. And I'll leave it at that. But those are the two things.
All right.
We make you more. We don't get paid. You know what I mean? Like,
Yeah,
on
no,
a commission
100%.
job, if I make somebody $70,000 extra,
Yeah.
I get 30% of that, 40% of it.
Yep.
I get 2.8%. of
But I think that's key, though. That's key, because we don't get paid hourly. If we don't close, we get zero.
And that's not even.
So what's my
including the-
value worth?
Yes, exactly.
You know what? If I'm making good money, it means my value. I will challenge an employer to give me a good hourly wage, and I'm going to turn it down and say, "How about you pay me what I'm worth?"
Yep.
And I'm going to work hard, because I'm going to make more money when you think that I'm worth, because I'm going to make you some money.
Yep.
And that's how I treat my real estate. And again, my business is built around filling a need. And if I do good for my client, they're going to refer people.
Exactly.
And that's the greatest compliment. On top of
Absolutely.
that, again, I have literally called a past client that wanted me to list their home, and I said, "I'm going to save you some money. I'm going to list for X amount." And they're like, "Nope. You did a good job here. We made our money. You charge me what you need to charge, because we know you're going to do good for us." And I actually made them more money.
And now that we're-
and at the closing table, they're like, "Thank you."
Yep. And now that we're all worked up, now that we touched on it, I'm gonna
Done.
I'm gonna go ahead and say it. Let's go ahead and give our one rock takeaway. And because this was such a good topic, and we held them for a little bit longer, we're gonna I'm gonna make it again probably just two to three words. 3 words. Do your research. That's my one rock takeaway.
I like it.
Oscar.
I love you guys. That's it. That's my takeaway. I love the general public. I got into real estate because my mom got screwed with predatory lending. Know who you're working with.
I like
That's
it.
it.
Hi, James.
Mine is super simple. You don't need 20% down. There are options: research, debt, leverage.
I like it. Research.
Don't sell yourself short. If you want to buy, talk to a good agent and a lender.
Leverage.
I like it. All right.
Educate yourself.
And this is, honestly, the entire time that we've been talking, I've just been, this cup has been up to my nose like 30 times.
Because go fight somebody, right?
I'm about to put the blanket on. It's so cold.
All right, so
Fight anybody right now?
let's go ahead and move into our rock rating for today.
Okay.
This is going to be tough. 'Cause
Yeah,
I've been
this is gonna be
focusing on the topic. And
Yeah.
I've been just.
Well, that's
drinking.
good. That's good because now it's gonna let the bourbon wash over the frustration and anger.
Wash.
I tell you what, the bourbon did its job. Let's just
Right? Yep.
let's go with that.
All right. I've started the last couple, so I'm gonna go ahead and give myself some time. One of you guys can take it.
All right, I'll take it first actually, because I don't think I've gone first yet. Easy sipper. I like the freshness. I really do. We've had bourbons that have had a complex flavor profile before, which is nice. But every once in a while, you want one that isn't super complex, but is just goddamn enjoyable. And to me, that's this. And I like the gimmick with the stick, but I can actually, I get
Yeah,
the
I
value.
can't call it a gimmick, honestly.
No, I get the value.
No, I was gonna say,
Dude, here's the deal. I guess as I'm going through these, we're at episode 14 now.
Yeah.
I'm trying to figure out how the fuck I'm rating bourbon. Like, do I rate it as if it was in a fucking Manhattan versus old fashioned versus smoked versus neat versus
cost.
cost?
Yeah.
So now I'm kind of looking like, okay, does it have enough dynamics to fit all those criteria?
Mm-hmm.
I'm gonna go 2.5.
Okay, I like
Honestly,
it. I like
I
it.
really am. I could smoke this; it would be fantastic.
Mm.
All right, I was
Put an
gonna
ice
bring
cube in
too.
it.
Damn it.
It would open it up. Throw it in an old fashioned. It's got enough bite to it that the sweetness wouldn't overtake it.
Yep.
And if I throw it neat, like I've been drinking today, on a hot topic, it's you guys' fault. I'm good.
We're blaming you.
Yep. 2.5.
Yep.
I like it.
Oscar, what do you think?
I am going to bring old-fashioned stuff next episode.
Okay.
Dope.
I like it.
Put my money where my mouth is.
We'll have
pretty
we'll
damn
have
good
the neat-
old-fashioned.
We'll have the neat
bringing
next to the
my
old fashioned.
And I'll bring my
Can't do
smoker
everything at
too.
once, guys. We got to have some
So-
variety here, all right?
Again, with a gimmick, I was like,
lighter.
I thought that thing was a gimmick. I could taste that stick in there. I really can. I could taste
Give me
it.
a creamy mouthfeel.
That stick gave me a creamy mouthfeel.
The stick and it gave me a creamy mouth.
That thing does make a difference. It does give it a different profile that I
Yeah.
haven't tasted in other bourbons. Whether it's good or bad, it's them, and I can appreciate
unique.
that. It's unique, and it helps it in a positive way. The nose, it's cold as shit today, guys. My nose is crapped. I'm cold, but the flavor profile, what's the word? The palatability, the
Palatability.
drinkability of it. It drinks well. It's good. I don't have anything bad to say about it. It's a little more sour on the mash bill.
But that's just me.
I just get some sour notes, and the sour is not like a lemon or a lime sour. It's more like a fresh pine tang, if you will. Which I think that's what
I think that's what they're going for.
that's what they're going
being
for,
true to their flavor.
and that's good. I give it a solid 3.
Okay.
I give it a good 3. It's a good sipper. I'll buy it, especially for the price. Absolutely,
yeah.
I'll buy it all day long.
I love that. Honestly, I've been watching past episodes, getting the time codes, all that kind of stuff on them, and it doesn't seem like we're all off at any point. Like there hasn't been one that.
I'm at 1.
Oh yeah, exactly.
And we'll find that bourbon though. It's like, you know what? And you know what? I'm just gonna throw it out. Willet's probably gonna be one of those. I don't know if you like it.
Right. So
I will. I'll
give
give
you guys
that shit a
watched
7.
last episode.
Yeah.
So I got the old Granddad Bonded,
Mhm.
and I had it last night before the concert I went to.
Yeah.
It is night and day.
Yeah.
Like
I want to taste
I
it.
almost brought it in today just because I wanted you guys to
comparison.
taste it, because it is like it's a different whiskey. Yeah, it's a completely different whiskey. But anyway,
So, on the note of what both of you have said, as far as the shtick of the stick in the bottle,
for the
the shtick. That's what I said. The shtick of the stick, right?
You put a schmear on your bagel.
As far as that goes,
melted.
same as both these gentlemen here. I saw the stick in it, and honestly, it was like, okay, cool. This is a marketing ploy. This is some makes them stand out on the
Do a
shelf.
cinnamon stick in the bourbon.
Right? Yeah. Right. And I am pleasantly surprised at how well it does add to the flavor and how much you do get from it.
But that is a thing, like we said at the beginning.
Yeah.
Just like they put a hot poker in the beer to open up the conversation.
Yeah.
That is a thing.
Absolutely.
Outside of, this is the first bourbon that I've seen it in the bottle.
Yes, and I will say that as far as the flavor goes, I have not tasted a bourbon that is as youthful on the tongue as this one. And
Crisp?
That's
Would you say crisp?
yeah, crisp. Exactly.
Fresh.
Yes, and I want to give it to the stick. That's why the freshness is there.
Yep.
Oh,
Now-
and the Outcast.
Right. When it comes to a rock rating, as you were saying, Jameson, we've had some bourbons that have complexity, that hit the front of your tongue with one flavor, hit the back of your throat with another flavor, and then linger with a third flavor. The reason that I wouldn't put this at that 1.5 to 2 that we've done in the past is because it doesn't have those multiple layer complexities to it. It is a phenomenal taste up front. It is sweet. It is flavorful. I definitely get the vanilla. I can smell the oak. I can smell the sweetness from the wood. But it is definitely, for me, I would keep it at that 3 specifically because it is not as complex as other bourbons that have touched that 1.5 to the 2 rock rating that we have. So with that being
we're
said,
gonna have to like come up with an algorithm because I'm also basing it off of price.
What's the age on this?
3 years.
Which it's big because there's another bourbon out there that aged it 1 year and they add. If you grab the bourbon and you go like this, there's stuff in there.
Yeah.
And they add that because they need profile.
Yep.
For 3 years,
Yep.
that stick in there, it does the job.
exactly, and that's what I was going to say, is that is why I would give it a solid 3, is because it's definitely, for only being 3 years, for only being from one barrel, from, for the price point that it is, what you get out of it, I think is a solid 3. You consider
Fucking bourbon though.
They're doing good job.
phenomenal.
That's
yeah.
brilliant.
Yeah, this is.
Because they don't have to wait 10 years to get
I would
profile.
honestly be okay going, like right now, I'd leave the podcast and go buy this bottle to have it at home.
Yeah.
100%.
Yep.
Absolutely. And I'd be very interested to see what this would taste like in a Manhattan, only because the Manhattan really kind of plays off of the flavor of the bourbon more so than the old fashioned does. So I would love to see this.
Yeah, because the Manhattan's it's a little bit more bitter.
Yes.
So you have sweet vermouth.
Mm-hmm.
You still have bitters. So it's going to be on the more bitter side.
Also,
But like for an old fashioned, this would serve as well. That the profile for this has enough boldness to hold up to the
Yes.
sweet of an old fashioned.
Absolutely.
so I didn't mention this initially when we were talking about their story or whatnot. So if you go to their website, they've got about 25 different whiskey recipes,
That's awesome.
cocktails
Awesome.
that I think we'll have to try.
Yes.
Whiskey sour.
And it goes
So
depth.
on that note, stay tuned on the podcast channel, because we know you guys like bourbon. We know you guys like real estate, especially if you're here. So we can actually do now a separate playlist where we're trying these cocktails, because we have these bottles after we leave the podcast,
We
right?
have 2 dudes on this panel right now that used to be bartenders.
Not me.
I like it. I like it.
I was
But
friends of the bartenders.
But on
Real
that-
quick before we bounce, Oscar, how do we find you, bro?
OscarTheRealtor.com.
Perfect.
Across the board.
Across the board.
Let me know about the new
the new logo.
Logo's dope.
new logo.
Yes,
You know, I was kind of like,
is good.
maybe not.
I like it.
Let me know if it sucks.
You can find me on Instagram, The Lifting Agent, on TikTok, That Lifting Agent, and phone number 704-402-9690. It'll be in the description.
With me, the Colorado real estate guy, super simple. It's on Instagram, TikTok, Facebook, obviously, Jameson Amaros. And then phone number 720-584-3361. We'll throw that one down there as well. Reach out to any of us, though.
Yeah, and in all honesty, guys, we just give this contact information just so you have another point, because we all do real estate based stuff that will give you more information. But what we want you to do is go through our Mile High Perspective. So RESOTR at themilehighperspective.com. That's the best way to email all 3 of us at one point. And then I'm sorry, ADHD, I can't remember the phone number. Jameson,
720-587-0263.
is it 720?
Or sorry,
303.
587-0263.
I'm gonna clip in the video
what?
from last week where I was
We're gonna do some bloopers. We're gonna finish this, and Jameson's gonna gnaw on that stick inside that bottle.
But hey, so to Charlie's point, right? This is the beauty of us 3. We got northern Colorado over here, southern Colorado, to Northern Colorado. Northern
Everywhere.
Colorado,
Everywhere.
Like if
Everywhere. Literally
we
everywhere.
promise, my promise to you guys watching this is if you call and I'm the one that answers the phone, and I think Oscar is the best person for you or Charlie, I'm gonna pass you to that person.
Yep.
Because that's what our goal is to help you guys out, right?
Exactly.
I know that I don't know Hugo, Colorado at all.
Dude, I fucking hate that town. I'm done.
I
with
also
Hugo.
know that if you guys are looking at Thornton, Charlie lives up there, right? I also know that in Castle Rock, Oscar and I run this down here. So we will pair you guys if you have questions on the market, because real estate is so micro specific, to the right person. And that's why we give you guys all of our contact information.
Vet 3 agents. Vet 3 agents. That does not change with this podcast.
Exactly.
Vet me, vet Charlie, vet Jameson. 20 years plus of experience, but I'll tell you one thing. These guys are good. And it's not because they're part of the podcast. I wouldn't be sitting here with them if
damn
that.
good.
Yeah, dude, I do not give accolades to anybody. Half the time I'm coming in talking shit about somebody. These guys are good. They know their stuff.
We're all
And
good, man.
Plus,
So we're here to help.
plus, wherever they lack and you choose them, we are here to back them. I'm here to back both these guys. So they're good.
And on that note, guys, thank you so much for joining us for another episode. We're really happy to have you. Thank you for
It was heavy. If you stuck with us the whole time, thank you.
yes. We're looking forward to more. soon.
Can we do fresh and so clean?
So fresh and so
I don't, we don't
No.
have music.
Damn it, we'll get sued for it.
All right.
Anyway, I love you. Drink responsibly.
Be good.
Hey, thank you guys for watching.
Cheers.
Share, subscribe.
Oh, shit.